stress, and cognitive appraisal. Cognitive appraisal is a cognitive process, the personal evaluation and interpretation of situation. That means how an individual views a situation. Appraisals refer to direct, immediate, and intuitive evaluation made on the environment in reference to personal well-being. They are evaluative framework that people utilize to make sense of the events. First is cognitive appraisal is regarded by some sport psychologists as an important component of a burnout. The perception of the situation can be caused of a negative psychological reaction rather than the situation itself. An athlete who loses a string of the competition can view it positively as a challenge and an opportunity to come back from the adversity, or view it negatively as evident that he or she will never be a successful competitor. Cognitive appraisal determines if an event we perceive as stressful. The appraisal with view of the stress views of the stress was developed by Richard Lazarus. The model of theory of a cognitive appraisal was proposed by Lazarus and Folkman in 1984, and is explain the mental process with influence of the stressor. According to Richard Lazarus, stress is a two-way process. It involves the production of stressor by the environment and the response of an individual subject to these stresses. His conception regarding stress lead to the theory of cognitive appraisal. What is a cognitive appraisal? Richard Lazarus suggests that an individual stress level is directly affected by the cognitive appraisal. That means perception of the event that triggers the stress. There are two stages of the cognitive appraisal. First is stage 1. We assess the traits in our given situation. If the traits is serious and real, we will move on to the next stage. Stage 2. We evaluate whether or not we have the material to deal with the stimulus causing the stress. During stage 2, if we find that we do not have the material to cope with the stress causing stimulus, it will determine the level of stress we experience. An example to this would be how people react to the snake, and the result is a great variation. A harmless garter snake might cause fear in some people and nothing is the others. Primary appraisal, initial evaluation of the situation. Okay, there are three kinds. There are irrelevance, benign, positive, stressful, harm, loss, traits, challenge. When an event is perceived as negative in the primary appraisal process, then the person make a further appraisal regard to the harm. That means the assessment of the damage that the event has already caused. Treats positive future damage that the event may cause, and challenge the potential to overcome and profit from the events. In the stage of the primary appraisal, an individual tends to ask questions like, what does this stressor and or situation means? And how can it influence me? According to the psychologists, the three typical answers to this question are: first, this is not important. This is a good. Second, this is a good. Third, this is a stressful. To better understand primary appraisals, suppose a non-stop heavy rain suddenly pour at your place. You might think that the heavy rain is not important, since you don't have any plans of going somewhere today. Or you might say that the heavy rain is good because now you don't have to wake up early and go to the school since the classes are suspended. Or you might see the heavy rain as stressful because you have a schedule, a group outing with your friend. After answering these two questions, the second part of our primary cognitive appraisal is clarify whether the stressor or the situation is threat, a challenge or the harm or loss. When you see the stressor as a threat, you view it as something that will cause future harm, such as a failure in exam or getting fired from your job. When you look at the challenge, you develop a positive stress response because you expect the stressor to lead you to high class ranking or a better employment. On the other hand, since the stressor as a harm or loss means that the damage has already been experienced, such as when a person undergoes a recent amputation or encounter a car accident. Second appraisal is, unlike in the other theory, there is stage usually come one after another. The second appraisal actually happen simultaneously with the primary appraisal. In fact, there are times the secondary appraisal become the cause of the primary appraisal. Second appraisal involve those feelings related to the dealing with the stressor or the stress it's produced. Answering statement like, I can do it if I do my best. I will try whether my change or of success are high or not. And if this way fails, I can always try another methods. Indicate positive secondary appraisals in contrast to this statement like, I can't do it. I know if it fails, I will not do it because no one believes I can, and I won't try because my chances are low. Indicate negative secondary appraisal. Although primary and secondary appraisals are often a result of an encounter with a stressor, stress doesn't always happen with a cognitive appraisal. One example is when a person gets involved in a sudden disaster, such as an earthquake, and he doesn't have more time to think about it, yet he still feels stressful about the situation. Secondary appraisal, evaluation of one's ability to cope with a situation, interact with primary appraisals to determine emotional reaction to the event. Reappraisals, that means continuous re-evaluation of the situation based on new information. Some respond to stress or a conscious effort to cope with the stress. Cognitive response to stress include belief. What causes stress? They always ask, what causes stress? Can it be controlled? How harmful is it? Factor in appraisal vulnerability. When things of values are treated, present variables that can emerge like a commitments, belief, situation, variable, novelty, predictable event, uncertainty, imminence, duration, temporal uncertainty. As example in the sport, Steve Williams is quoted in his book Golf of the Top Steve Williams by suggesting top professional golfers do not morally judge a shot after it's come to rest. According to the Williams, in the top golfer, all the shots are equal and none is more equal than the others. Something that fits nicely into my native Kiwi egoism.